Tonight on To The Point, a grandmother allegedly abused at a nursing home. Her family says the incident caused her death. The change they want to see. Thieves draining a life-saving line for California families.
The chance of losing our electric is extremely high, and at that point we also lose our Section 8 housing, which means we also lose our house.
What's being done about EBT theft, all $86 million of it and counting? And new information, the number of people still missing on Maui tonight. Good evening, this is To The Point. I'm Alex Bell. An 89-year-old Barbara Collier is no longer with us. Her family says that she died after escaping the Caldor fire and faced abuse at a senior facility. They filed a lawsuit and are calling for change. Our Jeannie Nguyen shares their story, and we do want to warn you, the video you're about to see can be difficult to watch.
They're promising, we will take care of your loved ones.
2 years ago, Rebecca Georgie and her family chose Brokedale Folsom Senior Living Facility to care for her grandmother, Barbara Collier.
She got evacuated when we had the Caldor fire, and she did have dementia.
But within days of checking her grandmother into the facility, Georgie started noticing bruising on the 89-year-old.
We saw bruises, and that's why we put the camera in the first place.
That hidden camera caught this, employees pulling her hair and slapping her. Shortly after, Georgie says her grandmother passed away, and she believes it was because of the abuse.
This is horrible. One of the worst things I've ever been through in my life.
Following this incident, the facility told ABC 10 those employees no longer work for the company, and it takes the health and well-being of its residents seriously.
It shouldn't happen to anybody else, and maybe if they have to pay for their mistakes, it won't. They'll make sure it doesn't.
Now, Georgie and her family have filed this lawsuit against Brookdale, claiming elder abuse and wrongful death. Georgie says it's about getting justice for her grandmother, but also holding the facility accountable.
What I would like to see done is have it mandatory that all caregivers have to wear body cams.
A Brookdale spokesperson would not comment on the pending lawsuit, but did say resident health, safety, and dignity are priorities. Brookdale does not tolerate any employee conduct that is inconsistent with their priorities and ensures all employees understand that.
A lot of things they say aren't true, and they're trying to cover their butts, I'm sure.
And Jeannie is with us now. Jeannie, as you mentioned in your piece, those employees are no longer with the company, but what else has changed since then?
Alex, now 2 years ago, Brookdale told us that the company has things in place like background checks and training to make sure all employees are in compliance with state rules and regulations. Today, I asked if they have any updated policies since this incident, but a spokesperson would not answer that question. And Alex, the family also told me that they also reported this alleged abuse to the state, and apparently the company was also fined.
All right, Jeannie, thank you so much. I also want to mention that if you are concerned one of your own family members is experiencing abuse, you can report it. You can call Adult Protective Services. Their phone number is on your screen. Each county, they have an agency, and services are available to any person 60 or older or a dependent adult. In other news, the proposed needle delivery program is sparking debate. The Placer County Sheriff's Office is encouraging people to express their opinions. Sacramento already has a similar program to what's being proposed in Placer County, but the Sheriff's Office says they don't want any organization providing needles to drug users. They say in this program, dirty needles do not have to be turned in, so it doesn't fix the problem of coming across the needles in the community settings. So this is all happening months after the Placer County District Attorney's Office became the first to get a murder conviction for a fentanyl drug dealer. In a statement, District Attorney Morgan Geyer said in part, the wholesale acceptance of illicit and oftentimes deadly drug use in our community runs counter to our robust educational, preventative, and rehabilitative efforts that are currently saving lives, and he is hoping there can be a meaningful debate. We reached out to the program in Placer County for comment, and we have not heard back yet. Kaiser will pay $49 million over allegations the healthcare provider unlawfully disposed of hazardous waste, medical waste, and protected health information. The settlement is the result of undercover inspections of 16 different Kaiser facilities. The district attorney from San Joaquin County joined Attorney General Rob Bonta in today's announcement.
This judgment is one of the largest of its kind, over $49 million. And I'm confident that it will defer future actions and place safeguards in place to ensure this never happens again.
In a statement, Kaiser says, in part, We take this matter extremely seriously and have taken full responsibility to correct our performance regarding landfill-bound trash where it may have fallen short out of our standards. We have that full statement on abc10.com if you want to check it out. The future of access to the abortion pill, mifepristone, is now in the hands of the Supreme Court. The Biden administration asked the court today to reconsider a lower court ruling. So that ruling, if it stands, would dramatically limit access to the pill, saying it should not be prescribed past 7 weeks of pregnancy or through telemedicine. The pill remains on the market in states where abortion is legal and through telemedicine until the Supreme Court makes their decision. That is likely to happen next year. In the Georgia election interference case, a newly released report from a special grand jury in Fulton County shows the grand jury recommended criminal charges against 39 people, including Senator Lindsey Graham and former Georgia Senators Dave Perdue and Kelly LaFleur. The grand jury says they allegedly tried to help former President Trump overturn the results of the 2020 election in that state. And tonight, Lindsey Graham says that he was just asking questions in his official capacity as chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and says, quote, "I had questions, as did many others, about how the mail ballot process worked in Georgia and other locations. I did my due diligence. At the end of the day, I voted to certify the election results from every state, including Georgia." And new information tonight in the Hawaii wildfires.
The FBI has reported that 66 of our people are potentially still unaccounted for based on calls and emails they've received. And in many cases, they only have names of these individuals on a list and no other information.
That was Hawaii's governor announcing 66 people are still missing after fire tore through Lahaina 1 month ago. The grim search and recovery efforts continue. 115 people confirmed dead. Hawaii's governor says he's ordered a full investigation of the cause of the fire and the emergency response. And starting next month on October 8th, all travel restrictions on Maui will end. Now, this is the deadliest U.S. wildfire in more than a century. More than 2,000 structures are destroyed, causing an estimated $5.5 billion in damage alone. Maui police have released the names of 55 of the people that are dead. 22 people were in their 70s, with another 13 in their 60s. There was one listed victim under the age of 10. Coming up on To the Point, EBT theft on the rise, a lifeline for families drained. What one state lawmaker is calling for.
Highs today reach those mid-90s to low 90s from Stockton and Modesto up into Sacramento, Marysville, and Oroville. How hot we could get into the weekend.
And we take the back roads to a mystery house the size of a mansion in the belly of Silicon Valley. If you have never seen what the eye of a hurricane looks like, well, you're looking at it right now. The Air Force just flew into Hurricane Lee and took video of the wall. This hurricane is being described as a monster storm. And Carly, where is this hurricane at right now?
Yeah, those impacts are going to be seen in Puerto Rico, the Dominican, in just the next day or so. But wow, that eye wall, so fascinating. It increased from a Cat 1 to a Cat 5 within 24 hours. One of the strongest they've seen in quite some time. So such fascinating stuff there. But we are now seeing Lee downgraded to a Category 4. So that's the good news. But unfortunately, as it gets closer to Puerto Rico, we do expect it to continue maintaining some of that strength. It's still in warm waters over there. And then eventually we'll start seeing it kind of veer up to the northwest and eventually straighten out. But at this point, we're not looking at big impacts for the coastline just yet, at least as far out as we can tell with Hurricane Lee. A little closer to home, we are tracking Hurricane Hova. That is off the Baja California Peninsula, but it's drawing in a lot of moisture with it. Luckily, this one is a Category 1. It has downgraded quite a bit from yesterday's Category 4 hurricane, but that moisture will begin affecting some areas along the coastlines of California. Its one here continues toward the northwest, becoming a tropical storm tomorrow, and then a low pressure system. But again, all that moisture being pushed up toward the coastline will impact some people, especially with thunderstorm chances. But we did see another phenomenon today, a earthquake too. In fact, we saw them really moments apart. First a 5.0, aftershock of 4.4 in areas just about 80 miles east of Redding. That's Fall River Mills and the Bernie area there. Some people feeling it all the way up in Oregon as well. The fire weather watch for Monterey and San Benito counties here because of Hurricane Hova bringing in some moisture. Now, dry conditions could create dry lightning strikes for that area and some winds picking up, which means fire weather concerns are high for that zone. Now, we will be seeing a line potentially pushing from areas just south of Los Banos and Patterson toward Yosemite. Southern Sierra could be starting to get some thunderstorm chances Saturday as well. And then, of course, starting to shift its way toward the east as it usually does along the jet stream. As we're mostly going to see mostly clear skies and sunshine through the weekend, our 10-day forecast showing a little bit of a heat up from Sunday to Monday in these mid-90s. And then we drop all the way down into these nice, lovely mid to upper 80s through next week.
Thanks, Carly. Next, on To the Point, EBT theft on the rise. What one state lawmaker wants to see done. And why is Apple asking everyone to update their iPhone and other Apple products immediately? Welcome back. All this week, we have been reporting on EBT theft. Many of you have been reaching out, sharing your stories about your accounts being completely drained. Now, a state lawmaker wants something to be done. Our Grashpal Senga reports.
It is a lifeline for more than 1 million California families. The California Electronic Benefit Transfer, also known as EBT, is supposed to help eliminate uncertainty for low-income families. But thieves targeting EBT is instead causing headaches.
Defeat, honestly, you know what I mean? As a man, as a father of children and a husband, you know what I mean? It was defeat.
Chad Guthrie lives in Fresno with his wife and 5 children. Thieves stole $1,600 in May.
Deposited at, I believe, 6:15, and at 6:17 there was one withdrawal that time for the total amount of the $1,600.
Guthrie and his family, living paycheck to paycheck, rely on that money to keep the lights on and food on the table. If one time wasn't enough, thieves stole another $1,600 in August, forcing the family to fall behind on their debt forgiveness program.
Your payment, anytime within 12 months, if you're late 2 consecutive times, then they kick you out the program. And if 3 times total, they kick you out the program.
While the state did reimburse the family for the stolen amount, they had to wait nearly 30 days each time, taking on late fees and stress for something out of their control.
The chance of losing our electric is extremely high, and at that point we also lose our Section 8 housing, which means we also lose our house.
Altogether, between the two programs, thieves have stolen more than $86 million in about 21 months.
That is an awful lot of money that has been mismanaged, and we need to fix it, and we need to stop it.
For Assemblyman Tom Lackey, this latest case of fraud is feeling a lot like deja vu. Lackey recently dealt with a pandemic-related EDD fraud, which saw estimated $20 billion in unemployment money stolen.
I was taught a phrase long ago that if it's predictable, it should be preventable. I don't know how many times we have to repeat this before we actually take action, because people are losing confidence in government. And these are the circumstances that validate that lack of confidence.
Lackey says they will look to mitigate this problem so it doesn't get out of control. In the meantime, the Guthries say they are changing their card code the day before the money arrives so they don't become victims again.
There's no more remembering the code. We're writing it down somewhere.
And others have reached out saying they're not getting the full reimbursements for what was stolen. A potential solution moving forward is installing chips in the EBT cards. The California Department of Social Services told us that chips are in the works, but the department did not give a specific timeline. And if you have an Apple product, you might have received a notice to update. The update is for 2 big security risks. The update will fix flaws that allow hackers to take over devices. It can be done through a maliciously crafted attachment. You can and should update your devices now by going to Settings, General, Software, and then Update. Every Friday, we hit the back roads. Tonight, our John Bartell takes us to the Winchester Mystery House. It's a mansion in San Jose that has some very interesting features.
In the belly of Silicon Valley, there's a seemingly out-of-place home that sits in the shadows of high-rise buildings and palm trees.
People are going to see very unusual things in the house that you don't normally find.
For over 100 years now, neighbors and passers-by have spread rumors and haunting lore about the reclusive homeowner, which has earned the curious dwelling the nickname Winchester Mystery House.
I can say that I have had some experiences I can't explain.
And if you want to know more about those unexplained experiences, I suggest taking a tour of the home with Susan DeLance, longtime tour guide and Winchester House know-it-all.
There's 160 rooms, 10,000 windows, 2,000 doors, 52 skylights, 47 fireplaces, 40 bedrooms, 40 staircases, 6 kitchens, 3 elevators, 2 basements, but only 1 shower.
The oddly designed estate was owned by Sarah Winchester, widow of rifle manufacturer William Winchester. The details are fuzzy, but following the death of her husband and a series of other family members, Sarah left New Haven, Connecticut for sunny San Jose.
The popular story says she went to a medium, and the medium told her that her family was taken by those killed by the Winchester rifle, and the only way to appease them was to move west and build on a house and continuously build.
The additions to the house were not only continuous, but very puzzling.
Like this door that leads directly onto a wall. And we don't know why she did this.
Some people think the odd design was to confuse spirits.
A lot of documentaries like to talk about it. It's just a staircase that goes right up to the ceiling. And if you want to go up there and take a look.
It does. Others think staircases were a little more practical. Sarah Winchester was just 4 feet 10 inches and she needed shorter steps.
Mrs. Winchester suffered from crippling arthritis, and she could only lift her feet a couple of inches.
Upstairs, things get a little creepy. Secret doors lead to rooms with only 1 entrance and 3 exits. What do you need, the broom closet here, or what is this room?
This is her seance room.
The seance room? Because so many of her loved ones died before her, Mrs. Winchester had a constant yearning to contact them. It's believed that she had many seance rooms where she invited psychics and mediums to perform rituals. One popular room was called the Witch's Cap, and for some reason, it distorts sound and voice.
Just try it right there and just...
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it does. It feels like you, It sounds exactly like I'm talking in a paper towel tube.
Just in case you're wondering, yes, Susan has experienced some unexplainable events.
I had just finished changing out the light bulbs, and I went to walk away when I felt a little tug.
I feel their presence.
There's been so many strange happenings in this house, it inspired the 2018 film Winchester, starring Helen Mirren.
Very beautifully done, and they did film here for a few days.
The heyday of construction happened between 1880 and 1900, and the home reached 7 stories tall. But then, in 1906, a massive earthquake hit the Bay Area.
You can see everything above this is gone.
The Winchester home was reduced to just 4 stories. Repairs were made, but following Mrs. Winchester's death in 1922, construction was never completed.
And it's kind of neat that way. We constantly have debates. What do you think this room was for?
After her funeral, Mrs. Winchester's home was sold and turned into a tourist attraction. And for 100 years now, visitors have learned that though Mrs. Winchester was different, she wasn't necessarily crazy.
One of the happiest moments for me on a tour was when a gentleman said, oh, she was crazy. And by the end of the tour, he goes, she was anything but crazy. She was brilliant.
From the Winchester Mystery House, I'm John Bartell. Hope to see you on the back roads.
And now it's your turn. Got something that you would like John to check out in your town? Make sure that you text him and let him know all about it. You can text 916-321-3310. Next, on To the Point, marking another year since 9/11. For Roseville's fire chief, his time at Ground Zero shaped who he is today. Monday, September 11th, will mark 22 years since the deadliest terrorist attack on American soil. A day our country will never forget. And many of us remember exactly where we were and what we felt in those moments, like Roseville Fire Chief Rick Bartee. Coming up on Monday on ABC 10, right after Monday Night Football, Chief Bartee shares the moment that he got the call to go to Ground Zero and what it was like on the ground, and how him and his team were tasked with sifting through the rubble by hand, looking for signs of life.
From notes people ever writing to each other that didn't burn in the fires to just everything you could think of. There were times where you wanted to put the camera in there, that hole, and hopefully see somebody who might be alive.
Decades later, Chief Bartee shares the lessons he's learned from 9/11 that he now teaches to fellow firefighters during other emergency disasters, like his most recent assignment in Maui. Because of Monday Night Football, To the Point will not be on Monday, but you can watch this story and much more coming up after the game. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great weekend. I'll see you on Tuesday. Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.